No?
Moving on to another story now, and yesterday a South Australian coroner released findings on the separate accidental deaths of 5 young babies.
There's nothing sadder than the death of a young baby. Imagine then if you, as the parent, were to blame. That's how 5 South Australian families must be feeling after a coroner's inquiry into 5 infant deaths showed that co-sleeping was the cause of death, suffocation the likely culprit. Now, for the overwhelming majority of parents across the world, sleeping with their babies is the norm. In much of Southern Europe, Asia, Africa and Central and South America, mothers and babies routinely share sleep. Here in Australia, it's less common, and most experts say the safest place for baby is in a cot next to your bed. But almost 100 babies inexplicably die each year sleeping this very way. In fact, SIDS remains the most common cause of infant death each month. So just how dangerous is co-sleeping, and can it ever be done safely?
For more on this, we're joined by Karen Ingram from Parenting Group, the Australian Breastfeeding Association. Welcome, Karen. Now, you're a mum of 2, as well as being from the Breastfeeding Association. What do you think's better, in the cot or in the bed with you?
I think it's really up to people to make up their own mind, given some accurate information, but really, you know, either can work really well, and for many people for thousands of years, co-sleeping has worked really well for their families.
I don't think I could have ever sort of co-slept with my baby, but what are some of the reasons that people give for wanting to have the baby in bed with them?
A lot of the time that, especially for a very young infant and for premature babies as well, that the skin-to-skin contact that can happen between mother and baby in a sleeping bed arrangement, it is really good for producing, assisting with the production of breast milk, and it also aids with the with settling and relaxation of both mother and baby. So there are some really good reasons for people if they choose to co-sleep.
But I suppose when you're talking about really good reasons, isn't what this coroner has found in these cases also a really good reason for maybe for the baby to be in a cot and not in the bed? Because it's quite compelling, and as a parent myself, I was quite concerned when I heard about it.
I think we need to be a little careful of taking too much credence to blanket statements that all co-sleeping is dangerous for babies, because actually, as I mentioned before, it has been going on for a long time in many places, and I think that it's underreported how much co-sleeping does go on. So in the situations that have come up in Adelaide, there are some, you know, the high percentage of those cases have been found that they were in unsafe co-sleeping arrangements, and we know that co-sleeping actually can be done in a safe way.
So you do say that it happens, obviously, in large portions of the world. Is it more dangerous the way that we co-sleep in our country?
I think we need to look at perhaps certainly what information we have available to us, and the information we have available to us tells us that we need a really safe, well-ventilated area and a firm mattress, and certainly the people in the bed don't need to be not to be affected by drugs or alcohol. And so for a lot of countries, for example Japan, who sleep on futons, really firm mattresses on the floor, they have much lower rates of smoking there. So, you know, as an example, how you can compare Japan's example with Australia.
Well, Karen, I'm sure everyone else has their different opinions on this story, but thanks so much for sharing yours tonight.
Thank you.
Text the link at 7pmproject.com.au for more info on helping the baby sleep safely. I mean, what do you say? Like, what is the best way, safest way to sleep a baby?
Well, when you look at, obviously, this is co-sleeping, and the cases the coroner was bringing up there are to do with accidental, I suppose, rolling over and not necessarily in the bed. But I suppose you bring in sudden infant death syndrome into this whole thing. And when you're looking at the best way for your child to sleep, all the authorities say definitely on your back. Nothing. The child can't be on their tummy or on their side. They recommend that it should be in a cot, preferably in the same room for the first 6 to 12 months. You know, not too many beds, bed clothes, don't let them get too overheated. But also the cigarette smoking, which you didn't mention there, is we've found a huge link between, obviously, sudden infant death. But I'm a bit confused by if you have a routine with your child sleeping in the bed with you and you decide you're going to have a big night and all of a sudden the child is taken out of your bed.
Where did you sleep your baby?
Well, Leo, he's nearly 2 now, but as soon as he came from hospital, he went into a cot. And I just think the whole look, I think as mothers, you do what you're going to
Works
do,
for you, yeah.
and you're doing the best you can. But I think the co-sleeping thing and talking about how it helps you bond with your baby and it's better for the mother, I do think it's another vehicle for mother's guilt, because people look at me sometimes and think I was bad or whatever for putting him in his cot and making him sleep there.
Did you get more sleep because the child was somewhere else?
Absolutely.
Yeah, how do you sleep with a kid next to you going every 2 seconds? You're constantly on high alert.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, what I did with my children was... sorry, I just remembered I don't have any children.